Hi there, this is Pranay from DBS Diary. I hope you are doing great. So, good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on your geographic location. So, in today's session, we are going to talk about bidirectional replication. So, and here we are going to not initialize the database, rather database is already existing. We need to use dump marker and restore it. All right. So, in the previous session, we saw like how do we set up the bidirectional replication when we have to initialize database. We don't have to, we don't have to create anything, or it's not something that database is already existing. Okay, we did database creation and then we set up the replication. So, everything that you have on the primary will go to secondary and then we set up from secondary to primary. So, it was like initializing database, and then we showed you that how the replication flows from data flows from AAC1, which is primary, to replication server, and then eventually from replication server to target server. And then we also showed you the like reverse way from AAC2 to AAC1 through replication server, right. So, in today's session we are going to talk about exactly same thing, but then database is already initialized. So, we have to use dump marker, and we have also covered initialization of database. How do we do the initialization and replication initialization, how do we add the connection, all that you can refer to one of my previous session. Okay. So, let us get it started. So, we are going to do from the scratch, which means we will create database on the primary, we will create on the secondary, we will insert something on primary, and then we will take a dump, load on the secondary, then we will set up the replication, definition and subscription, then we will see how it works, and again exactly same steps, but then from AAC2 to AAC1, right. Okay. So, let us get it rolling. So, let us start recording. Okay. So, recording started. So, you know my lab. So, I have two servers running, AAC1 and AAC2. So, AAC1 is primary and AAC2 is secondary, but in this case first we will replicate from AAC1 to AAC2 and then from AAC2 to AAC1. Okay. So, this is the primary AAC1. I have renamed this title so that we do not have to check the server name. It is a primary AAC1 and this is secondary AAC2. Okay. So, let us get started. So, I have the list of command which is prepared beforehand, so that we do not have to write anything, we just need to copy and paste, and then we will see how things go. So, we are initializing data file, data device with 20 MB size for bidirectional marker data. Okay. So, this is AAC1, let us do this, done. Now, let us do for AAC1 itself for the log. Actually, I can do all of them in one shot, but for you it should be clear what all things I have done, so that you will not be confused and you will not miss anything, more importantly, right. So, that is one thing. Now, let us create the database. Okay. So, it is done. Now, next is to set this trunk logon checkpoint. So, now with this actually you will I will hit two target. First is you can have a database which is having trunk logon checkpoint enabled. It is not, I have asked this question multiple times in the interview, that can you have a database option enabled trunk logon checkpoint when it is part of replication, and many times or most of time I have got the answer as no, we cannot. So, this once I enable this, so this I will prove it to you that you can have database replication enabled and running between source and target when the option is enabled. Okay. So, let us do that. Okay. So, now let us do the checkpoint and then we will create one table. Okay. So, now if you do select star from test underscore marker underscore rep, so the table is created. There is no data inserted, but then table is created. Okay. So, now next thing is to do exactly same step that we did here on the AAC2 server. Okay. So, here what we will do, we will go in one shot at least until size for the device. Okay, now we'll create database. Okay, done. AC2. Now we'll enable the checkpoint here as well. Okay, table will not create because anyway the dump will come from AC1 and it will be loaded on the AC2 server, right. So now what is the next thing? Next thing is to add the connection. So this is something which I have already showed, so you can refer to my previous video, but then we'll do it here. So maybe let's do it from the scratch, from the start, right. Let's do exit and then let's call this /rs_init. Okay. So configure server product, yes. Okay, 1. So install a new replication server, no. We are going to add a database to the replication system. Okay. So let's take 2. 1. So server name, replication server name, it is rep. Okay, accepted. Now 2, put the SA password. So Sybase. Replication server interface information is already complete because we have already added the entry of AAC1 and AAC2 on the replication server side. Okay. So let's accept it. Okay, that's fine. Now 2, database information 1. So SQL server name, it will be AAC1. Okay, so now select star from test_marker_rep and you will have one row here, right. Now let's go ahead and take the dump. Okay, so dump is being taken, dump is completed. Now next thing is to load this on the secondary server, but before you load that, you cannot load now because you have replication agent running, so it will not give you exclusive access. Before we do that, let me show you that replication thread will be down because now the dump is taken. So if you run the command admin who is down, and you will see that thread will be down, right. Okay, so now what we will do is we will load this on the secondary server. So let's take that. So we have to stop the replication agent first. So let's go to secondary now. This is the secondary server and it is being stopped. So with the before that you already had one session running to on that particular database. Okay. So now what we will do is we will load this database. Okay, so it's loaded. Now online database bidirectional _marker db. Okay, it's coming online now. It is online. So now what we have to do is we have to add that alias, right. So let's see sp_help use. We have to use the database, use bidirectional_marker db and sp_help user. So we have to see whether it's there or no. It's there, and it is there. Login name is something different. So we'll drop this user, and then we will add as an alias. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, and now we'll add this as an alias to DBO, so that it can apply anything what is coming from the replication server. There will not be any permission issue, right. That is the reason that we add it as an DBO alias, right. Okay, so now this one is completed. So now you can resume the connection to AAC2 on the replication server because it was down. So that is what we should do. So let's go here and resume the connection to AAC2.bidirectional_marker_db. So now if you do admin who is down, the replication agent will be down because that is what we have stopped it before loading database, because if you don't stop it, you can't load database, right. Now next thing is to think about the replication agent, because now you have this, and now we can check the replication, how is it working from AC1 to AC2. So select star from test_marker_rep. So this should have one row. Now let's go to primary and let us insert some value into that. Insert into test underscore marker underscore rep name comma location values. Let's see, it was Pranav, so Kumar, okay, and Bangalore. One row impacted. Now let's go and check that value again. Okay, so replication is working now. Okay, if you want, you can do from AC2 to AC1, but right now it will not work because we have not configured replication from AC2 to AC1. Even that is something which you will see. Okay, so far so good. Now let's check the error log here. In case of any issue here, let's come to error log, and then everything is looking good here. And admin who is down, none of the thread will be down because otherwise the replication will not work, right? Okay, so AC1 to AC2 is completed. Now we have to do the replication setup from AC2 to AC1 with dump marker again. Okay, so let's see the next step now. So all good, I think. Yes, so all done. So now what we will do is we will check the replication whether it's running or no. Okay, so what we had was select star from secondary underscore test, I think, right? Let me check that. Test underscore secondary. Okay, so test underscore secondary. Let's insert one value, insert into test underscore secondary. Okay, so name comma location values, and let's put Pranav, and let's put India. Yes, now let's go and check on the primary server. Select star from test underscore secondary. Okay, so it is replicated, right? Now let's insert something here. Insert into test underscore secondary name comma location values, say DBA, and then diary. Okay, now let's go ahead and check on the secondary server, test underscore secondary, and it is replicated, right? So now whatever things you had on the primary is getting replicated to secondary, and whatever you do insert on secondary is getting replicated to primary. Okay, now one thing that you should know, this one we did without changing the gen ID, right? But that is something which you should know, because in many cases you need to change the gen ID. Okay, and that has to be done after checking the DBCC get trunk. So you will get the truncation point and the generation ID. From there you will extend to 1. So in our case it was 0, so we will set that as 1. So you can see here, so 2, so you can set this as 1 if the gen ID. So now what we will do, we will show you the one that we were talking about, right? So let's go to primary ASC1. So create table test2 ID int, and that table should replicate to secondary, right? So select star from test2. Okay, it is there. Now let's check the thread, replication thread now. Okay, so it is shut down. Why? Because there is already an object named test2 in database. So what happens is, when that setting is not enabled or it's not changed, it does replication from ASC1 to ASC2 and again from ASC2 to ASC1 for the DDL, not for the DML. DML it works perfectly fine. So you see the thread went down not for the ASC2, rather for ASC1. This is where we have done the insert, this is where we have done the creation. So it happens both way. Okay, so now let's resume the connection with the skip run. Okay, so let's see admin who is down. Okay, so resume connection to AAC1 dot bidirectional marker DB skip run. Okay, so admin who is down, nothing is down now. Now let's go ahead and create table on the secondary server. Okay, so it creates problem both ways. Test3 ID int name care of 10. Okay, that table will go to primary. select star from test 3 table is there, but if you go and check the replication error log and the thread, it will be down. It is down because the object already exists, because now the thread which is down is ASC2. So, ASC2 is the server where we created the object. So, ASC2, it went to AC1 and again is trying to replicate back to ASC2. That is why we need to do that setting. Okay. So, let us resume the connection now, skip run. Okay. Resume. So, that should be pretty much of it. So, we have covered how do we create database, then how do we create on both the server and then how do we add the connection, how do we create replication definition and subscription using dump marker. Have taken a dump, loaded on the secondary server, then did something on the replication agent side, because the agent will come along with the dump. Okay, that is something which we have to take care whenever we restore database from any server to second server, which has to be used for the primary. Okay, if it is not going to be used, then in that case you can leave it, but it's better to disable the replication agent if it is not going to be used for primary to replicate data. Okay, and then what we did was we have defined the replication definition from secondary to primary, and again subscription from secondary to primary, again using dump marker, have taken a dump, loaded on the primary server, and then did some configuration on the replication agent side, and then after that everything is working fine. I also showed you in case it does not work what we need to do in case in the matter of generation ID. Okay. So, that should be pretty much of it, I think. Do let me know in case of any question. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Yeah. Bye.